or worried about the past, thinking about what could have been, should have been, all of those things. That is the illusory self. That is the illusion taking usurping control of the moment, basically. But as you can bring yourself home to the present moment, this is all you have to do. It allows you to be fully present with all that is you. It allows you to be completely opened up to the field such that you can be a receiver for all that is you, for all that we have access to.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the Spiritual Inspired Show. I am your host, Claudiu Murgan. For all the episodes, please visit auraverse.network, spiritualinspired.ca, and our YouTube channel. My guest today is Angela Anderson. Angela, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to have the opportunity to share with you and your audience.
Thank you. I checked your website and you run so many amazing programs. And I would like to start with a warm-up question. You describe yourself as a woman of light and an emissary of divine intelligence. Can you share the pivotal awakening experiences that led you to this identity and mission?
Oh, well, for me, it's not one event that occurred. It's been a progressive unfolding. All my life, I've had some inkling that there was more. I didn't necessarily have the parental support system that could honor that, so I kind of did like most people do, and I kind of shut it down. But over the course of my life, many things happened, many different events occurred where I could hear that small voice. You know, that voice, you don't know where it's coming from, but you know there's a voice. But over time, I began to trust that voice, and I didn't make the choice, the conscious choice, to honor that voice and all that I had known throughout my life until my 40s. Until my 40s. And so when I reached that point, I decided to step into the fullness of me. I decided to honor all that is me. And so ultimately I connected with a group. And ironically, it kind of coincided with the pandemic when the world was being forced to go inside. Well, I was one of those who literally went inside myself and started doing all that searching. I guess I just had the time to focus inward. And by virtue of that, I started getting outside to walk and connect with nature because I needed to detach myself from the house because I just needed that time to myself, that peace to myself to refocus. And what happened was that I ultimately just started connecting with nature. That was that pivotal moment that really brought me home to self. I literally say Gaia was reconnecting me with me. And so that singular activity was what spurred it all. That was the catalyst that's gotten me here to this point in this. I feel like it's been so fast this amount of time because I began meditating. I began automatic writing. The channeling came in. All of these things came in like literally one after the other. And what really kind of kicked things off or accelerated everything was the I started speaking light language. That started to come on. And eventually, once I got beyond the idea of needing to save the world, because I think many of us, when we initially get that impetus that there's more and we kind of start stepping into our gifts, we think it's our job to save the world, but it's really not. You do that in an indirect way by virtue of the work that you do personally. And so I started to utilize the light language that I thought I was supposed to share with the world. I realized that was having a profound impact on myself. And ultimately, those activations that I was creating for everybody else started to open me up. And I began to notice that, and by virtue of noticing it, becoming more aware, consciousness becoming aware of itself, I began to utilize it on myself. And so before I would share anything with the world, I would really integrate all of those things I was creating. I would use them on myself, and I started opening up by virtue of that. And so on the heels of that, it's like we are the codex, and many of us don't realize that we are the codex. And so by virtue of opening yourself up, you step into remembrance of all that you truly are. And that's been my path. I've started to remember. So I haven't had teachers necessarily. I've had people show up who were basically mirrors to myself. And by virtue of them showing up, they allowed me to see different aspects of all that I am, because we are the projector projecting the reality that we witness. And so I started to really see myself. And I started to entertain new possibilities. And by virtue of entertaining those new possibilities, I started to step into that more. And every so often, I just have these shifts. And so I've opened up. And by virtue of opening up, have I opened up to more and had the opportunity to welcome more. And so now I remember the truth of myself. I remember all that I am. I am more than the identity that's listed on the screen. I am a fully embodied soul here, fully aware, consciousness aware of itself. And now I have, by anchoring or grounding into form, am I now beginning to radiate that out. So by virtue of just your presence alone, your frequency has the ability to impact and change the field. And so that's what I am lending myself to, surrendering myself to, and that's what I am witnessing through what I witness in the world, through the people who have the opportunity to sit and share with me. So
Beautiful. And because you mentioned that everything came to you pretty much all at once, have you been able to, or how have you been able to handle all these nuances and the information and the downloads? Because I talk to people who are quite not necessarily afraid, but they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to decipher it, and they were quite puzzled and overwhelmed by the quantity of the information and the gifts they were given.
right. Okay. So in hindsight, I think that's how it goes, because you kind of go from 0 to 5,000 once you start to open up, right? You don't really know what to do with the information. But I had, again, I say I had these people show up. They were, you could liken them to teachers, but they didn't show up as teachers. They just showed up simply as friends and whatnot. But I have had many people who have shown up at just the right time that I needed. And what they would do is they would serve as example by sharing their story. They would serve as example of, this is kind of how you can navigate through these things. So one of the things I was exposed to early on was journaling. Meditation and journaling. So meditation first thing in the morning, and journaling and breath work. So I started to open up even more by virtue of doing qigong, breathing, moving, allowing myself to flow with the subtle energies that I could feel at the time. So I started doing the breath work, the meditation, and the journaling. Those are three critical things that I realized served a great purpose, and I still do those things today to maintain. But journaling and sharing with others are two critical pieces, I will say, because they allow you to not just internally conceptualize the information that you are receiving, but essentially allow that to move through you, because everything is energy, right? So if you take all of that in, internally, you don't know what to do with it. But as you allow it to move through you, well, you facilitate the process of processing the information, and moving things, allowing things to move through you creates the space for the new to come. So I realized that journaling was a mode of allowing that information to pass through. The understanding would come on the heels of allowing that information to move through. If I held it internally, it's like I create a stagnation of energy looping itself internally, and ultimately you don't know what to do with it. You can short circuit yourself, to be honest. But if you allow it to move through you, you create the space for the understanding to come. The understanding always comes. Everything you need meets you in the moment of need as you surrender to the moment. So you can't get hung up on trying to analyze it and understand it, because the understanding always meets you when you need the understanding. So.
Nice. And I've noticed that you are looking to your up to your right. Is there someone who is talking to you, and are you channeling or?
So, so that's the thing. We are antenna, right? And so I am, as I am sitting here, I am very sensitive on all levels. So when I say I'm very sensitive on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, I am all open on all channels. And so as I am receiving information, my body responds to the receipt of that information. So it can come from all directions, but typically when I'm talking and most like this, it's coming from this side of things. So it can come from up higher, down low. So my body is literally just attuned to responding to the information. And I got there a roundabout way. That was one of the things that I did early on, was I needed a way to discern when the information was coming from a higher, what I perceived at the time as a higher source, versus my own egoic identity. How do I know where the information is coming from? How do I know if the information is valid? So very early on, I established a protocol. And the protocol was I would be the pendulum, because I understood how to work with a pendulum. So I said, I'm putting the physical pendulum down and I will become the physical pendulum. So when I ask a question, if the answer is a yes, then I want my body to respond with a nod. If the answer to that question is a no, I want my body to do this, my head to do this. And if it is a I don't know or maybe, then give us something like this, something roundabout. Well, I started to do that like the very next day. When I established that, the very next day I woke up and that protocol was set in place, and it has evolved since then. So my body is literally the pendulum, and it is responding to the field, all that it is receiving through the field. So that's kind of how I know the information is coming. The information comes and it comes out my mouth. And then, or if there's some question that I have, then I have the ability to, it just comes naturally. I don't even have to ask for it anymore. It's just always there. So yeah, there are
Nice.
many. There's a lot of, the energy, the space around us is always full. It's just a matter of us being sensitive and attuned to receive and decipher and decode that information.
And since you became so attuned with the energies and those coming to you, um, have you met more of your ancestors or people close to you rather than those who you never met before?
I'll say it this, yeah. I'll say it this way. I'll say it this way. We are our ancestors. We are the product of everything that has come before us. And so everything that needs to speak with us in the moment has access to us. So by that, yes, I have been greeted by all that serves to render this now physical representation of us, right? Because now I hold every bit of DNA, and that DNA is memory, right? That DNA is memory, so it's holding everything that can be reconciled from this now moment. So in that way, all of that information comes forward. So yes, I am the ancestors. I present as one, I stand as 10,000. That's a quote by Maya Angelou, and it's absolutely true. Yeah.
Nice, beautiful. And you speak about activating the divine blueprint and codes of light. How do you interpret these concepts in practical lived experience, no, rather than symbolic language?
It's in simplest terms, is reconnecting with your truth. It's reconnecting with your truth. It's getting beyond the masks that we wear, the roles that we play, the definitions that we hold, and understanding that you are more than what presents. You are more than society has told or conditioned you to believe. You are more than your parents have conditioned you to believe you are more than you have allowed. Most people are more than they have allowed themselves to realize. And so stepping back into the, or I won't even say stepping back because it's always present, right? Stepping into the realization of the divine blueprint that is you is a releasing, a surrendering of all that is not you, all of the falseness, right? It is surrendering. It is understanding that the divine is, heaven is, as I am willing to surrender to it. So I don't have to effort, I don't have to prepare for much. Like the way that I live now, I don't prepare. I literally just show up. I understand from this present time that presence is all that is required. Presence in the now moment. I'm not sitting here worried about the past. I'm not sitting here worried about the future or what I'm going to cook for dinner. I am all present within this moment, right? Fully here. A lot of us can't get fully here because the mind is so detached from the now. The mind is so worried about the future or worried about the past, thinking about what could have been, should have been, all of those things. That is the illusory self. That is the illusion taking usurping control of the moment, basically. But as you can bring yourself home to the present moment, this is all you have to do. It allows you to be fully present with all that is you. It allows you to be completely opened up to the field such that you can be a receiver for all that is you, for all that we have access to. It's essentially a reconnection with the soul aligned self, like a realignment with the truth of who you are. So in simplest terms, that's what it is.